Welcome to Always Analog, where we celebrate the beauty of analog technology in the digital world. Today, part 2 of handwriting basics. So we're going to look at some basic handwriting exercises and techniques. And again, this is just basic penmanship 101. I'm not a calligrapher. I have great respect for people who can do that. It is an art and a tremendous skill. This is about basic penmanship. And so many of us really can, myself included, can always improve our handwriting. And I actually get very annoyed because handwriting has become so devalued by many people because they see it as somewhat obsolete or unnecessary in our digital world. Well, I'm here to tell you that it's not unnecessary and it is not obsolete, and it is critically important. Not just for communication, but for the development of motor skills and hand and eye coordination and so many other things. And when we get to the point where we cannot read handwriting, then we're going to lose a lot. So let me just say that. I also find it interesting that some people I know, I should say, who really love all kinds of writing instruments, as do I, and spend gobs of money on all kinds of fancy fountain pens and inks and accessories and Blackwing pencils and all this expensive stuff, but their handwriting is often illegible, just really hard to read. So to me, that's sort of akin to, having a $100,000 car, but you really can't drive. So I think to be able to really celebrate these wonderful writing instruments that many of us collect, it would help all of us, myself included, to just try to keep up on basic handwriting and handwriting skills. So that's where we're going to start this part 2 of handwriting basics. So we're going to do a little handwriting here. I'm going to use some just very ordinary, I've got just a legal pad here, and I've got I just grabbed some ordinary pencils for those of you who are interested in such things. We've got a USA Titanium, a Ticonderoga, a Papermate Murado, USA Gold, and a Pen and Gear, all number 2 pencils at the ready, sharpened and ready to go. And I may have mentioned this, when you're going to write something, and I'm not just talking about jotting off a shopping list or, making a quick note, but if you're going to compose something, you're going to write something, particularly that another person will be reading, it helps to just sort of be focused, have your instruments there ready, whether it's a pencil or a pen, and just be in the right mindset that we want to write and write well. And if you are right-handed, this is the position of your paper. If you are left-handed, this should be the position of your paper. Now, I typically write with the right hand, so I'm going to go like this. So we are at an angle here. And, you can use whatever paper you like. This happens to be standard letter size pad of paper that's lined. And this is what we would call a wide rule. Perhaps you've also seen what is referred to as a college rule. College rule is narrower. And so you have two choices in terms of line pages, college rule or wide rule. If you want to practice your handwriting and work on it, I'm going to suggest that you use a wide rule sheet of paper as opposed to the college rule. Give yourself a little extra room, okay? It's easier to refine your writing when it's of larger scale and bring it down than it is to write small and make it larger. Okay, to go the other way. So start with a wide rule. That's why when we're kids in school and we're learning to write, we often have paper that has very wide, like here's, look at, here, this would be some learning to write paper that, and you can see it's a third larger than even a wide rule. And it has some additional lines on here because that just helps us form letters. So use wide rule, okay, as opposed to college rule. Use whatever, again, instrument you're most comfortable with. I'm just going to use number 2 pencils here. And we're not going to do anything too crazy, but we're going to start with, first of all, we've got our paper in position. You can't see how I'm sitting, but I am sitting upright. I am sitting with my back straight. I am sitting with both arms on my table here. And that's important. And again, that's another thing that no one seems to care about anymore. But you know what? Posture is important when doing certain tasks. And so, best to be straight, to sort of be at a slight angle, one that kind of coincides with your tablet here, with your paper. Then we're going to hold our pencil. Note how I'm holding it, okay? It's the 3 fingers. Or I know some people would tell me a thumb's not a finger, but it's your middle finger, index finger, thumb, like this. Some of you may be in a habit of holding your instrument differently. Okay, I've seen people hold it like this, okay? I call that the sandwich, all right, where they put the pencil in between the two and they do like this. And I've seen people hold it, almost like this. All kinds of different approaches. It has been recognized and accepted that this, and there's science behind it, that this really is the best way to hold a writing instrument. It's with these 3 fingers. Not that you can't write with different grips, but in order for control, this really is the best way. So if you already hold your pencil like this, that's great. So the other thing I would say is a lot of reasons why we write poorly is because we tend to want to write quickly. And you can write well quickly, but first you have to be able to write well, and then we can increase our speed. So don't try to rush when you're just doing exercises with your handwriting. Really take your time. And get that muscle memory going, okay? And that will help you. And you can increase your speed over time, but I think, when we text, we can move those thumbs very quickly and get that message out. Well, this is a little bit of a different thing. So just take your time. Often when I do pencil videos, reviews, when I put some marks on a paper to see if the pencil smudges and to test the erasability of a pencil, I'll do 3 lines. One of them is a loop line. And what I do is I just make L's over and over and over. And these are loops. And then another line is what I call a wave line, where I'm making M's over and over and over. And by the way, when I say I'm making, I mean I'm doing so in cursive, not printing. Okay? And then I will do an O line, which is basically an O, or circles, over and over and over. And these actually represent shapes that are found in a number of letters as we write. And what I might also do is I might do what we call a pangram. And a pangram is a sentence that employs every letter of the alphabet. So I think some of us are familiar with pangrams, and we might have one that we like. Those of us who grew up in an era where we learned to type in school on a typewriter, whether manual or electric, are familiar with this pangram. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. So, here's another one. Fill my boxes with a dozen liquor jugs. One more, let's see. Cross valley and plain to steal coins from Saudi mint. Okay, so a pangram allows you to just practice shaping each letter. And what a pangram will show you too is maybe where you tend to fall into some issues. So you can see, and this is something I've been struggling with for a long time. There's the E. That could be an I, but that loop is closed. Should look like that. It doesn't. But I can see often I come close. I try to be conscious of it. I also often will say the words as I write them. And I find that that is helpful. you can decide whether or not that works for you. But I found that a lot of people in writing struggle with loops. And we see loops in certain letters. Q, a B, and F has 2 loops as an example. The J, the E, the Z, the Y, the D, the G. So these are a group of letters that we might want to practice a little bit. Okay, so basically, again, take your time and let's talk about these loop letters. I'm going to put them up on the top line. B, D, E, F, H, J, K, L, Q, Y, Z. There's our loop. They all have loops in varying degrees. And so if loops are something that you struggle with, and basically the common problem with loops is that you close them, that you don't have this open loop here. And we can get into some stylistic kind of discussions, but the way I was taught to write was that these loops, that you needed some openness. You needed to let the air into some of these letters. And so some loops were smaller and less pronounced, and others larger. So these are letters that we might just, for me, because I keep finding myself closing loops when I don't want to, we might just want to practice. So, the B. The D. Use your lines. That's what they're there for. The lines are our guide for sizing our letters. So use them. And then my nemesis, the E. Keep that open. Keep that open. The F, which gives us a double loop, top and bottom. See, there, that was closed. Closed. So, the upper loop is generally narrower than the bottom loop on your F. But it should be open. So there's still some tightness there. So these are things I have to work on. So, and so on. But work on your loops, and then as we go through the series, I'll do other letters with other shapes, because essentially, this is really what we're doing when we're writing. We're creating these shapes of letters. So, paper at proper angle, sit up straight. You can do some loosening up. Perhaps use some pangrams to just sort of get each letter of the alphabet flowing and identify letters. See if there's a pattern of letters that you don't like the way they look, okay? That's the other thing that's so beautiful about handwriting. The handwriting you put on the page, that's gonna reflect you. So you can be happy with it, or you can say, I want something else. And it is up to you, and anybody can write nicely. It takes a little practice, it takes perseverance, and just doing it. But, once you are able to get the basics down, you will look for opportunities to write things down. Because every time you put pencil to paper, then that is an opportunity to write well. And you will find then when you are even making your shopping list or jotting down something on your calendar, if you keep a manual calendar, that you will want to write it nicely, because any opportunity to write should be celebrated and cherished. It's really not a good idea to say, well, I only need to write nicely when I write a letter. No, let's write nicely all the time, because then it just becomes how we write. So, anyways, I hope this was of help to some people, and I'll do more of these. People have asked. Again, any chance I have to write, I take it and relish it. So thank you for spending this little bit of time with me as we look at some additional handwriting basics. If you like what I do, please share, like, and subscribe. And I'll look forward to seeing you again real soon, right here on Always Analog.